This is the Young and Growing Podcast.
It's not like it's not happening, it's there, it's just hard to see. So me and Dad look at each other like, no way. You know what I'm saying? Like, no way. Like, we knew it was bad, but we were just expecting like, oh, maybe, I don't know what to say. Like, it was just like a whole new experience. You know, that's what I challenge you to do first, is just figure out what you're trying to accomplish.
With Isaiah Gunther.
What is up, everybody? Welcome to Young and Growing. I am your host, Isaiah Gunther. And, man, we have a extremely special guest today. I can't tell you, man, this guy, I was just telling him right before the podcast started, I said, when I talk about you to people, it's, only thing I can say is, man, you're my best friend, and you're a real dude. It's just, that man's real. And so our guest today is Conor Markins. I've known Conor Markins since my freshman year of high school when I moved to Colgrove, and man, I can't tell you the adventures we've been on. So enjoy this, man. This guy will be the best man in my wedding. He's a beast. He's on an extreme adventure right now, growing, and I can't wait for you guys to hear his story. What's up, dude?
What's up, brother?
Man, I'm excited.
Excited to be here, man. I'm sore from this morning. Isaiah got me doing some workouts that I haven't done in about 2 years, so to say I'm exhausted is an understatement.
I was about to say, how you feeling right now, just sitting here?
The legs are killing me, but we're good.
Yeah,
I'm
we're
excited
good.
to be up here with you, man. I'm happy you invited me. I appreciate it. And you know, anything that you're involved in, I always support you in, so it's a privilege to be here.
Man, I'm excited, man. I'm honored. So Conor, let's talk about this for a second, man. Like, tell everybody about you, you know, because I talk about you, but let everybody know kind of who you are, where you started.
Yeah, so, I was born in Columbus, raised in Ironton, went to school at Colgrove, had a very blessed upbringing as far as family and friends goes. I feel like I was blessed to be around a lot of good people. I still have both parents in my life. Had most of my grandparents my whole entire childhood, who played a crucial part in raising me. I was raised in a good area with a lot of loving people, and obviously went to school at Colgrove, grew up playing sports with all my buddies. We developed lifelong relationships that, with a lot of those guys, I don't get to speak to them all the time now, but, we all realize that we're all on, a different path, but I still have great relationships with those people, and I'm very thankful for where I come from. So,
Man, I love it.
Ended up going to play college basketball. My freshman year, I went to Wheeling Jesuit University. At the semester point, well, actually, like right at the beginning of school, I had a pretty significant injury, and which actually made me redshirt my freshman year, which was very challenging for me because at the time, I had obviously worked very hard to get myself to that point, to where I could play collegiately, and then, seeing a lot of my friends having early success on the team and stuff was hard. Because I wanted to be right there with them. But also, I was about 5 hours away from home on a very hilly campus, crippled.
And how old were you at that time?
Would have been 19.
19 years old, right? So not many people have had to experience what, we've had to experience immediately right after high school, separating from where we even came from, like what even looks normal. A lot of our friends have been able to stick around and stay down there, and at first we had to really separate. And so
that was
tell me how that was for you. I mean, was it comfortable? Did you have to go through any?
It was uncomfortable, but I knew that I had to go do something uncomfortable to find out what I wanted to do, because I wasn't really sure when I graduated high school, because honestly, I hated school, as far as like the material, like and I know that that's cliche. Like everybody says that, like, but I legit just like can't get myself to dial in on like school. You know
remember?
what I'm saying?
You remember coming? You remember in college math, me coming over and
yeah. Oh, you single-handedly got me to pass that class, and like I'm not going to sit here and say I couldn't have done it. Like,
Right.
obviously, looking back, I think every kid that as they turn into a young adult, they reflect on things and they're like, oh yeah, I could have applied myself more. I could have done this, could have done that. But like honestly, in high school, man, all I cared about was being with my friends and having fun. And and I don't regret that one bit because I found my niche and I knew that. Back to the point of what we were making, to the freshman year of college, like I knew that I had to get uncomfortable to get to figure out what I wanted to do.
Right.
So when I visited Wheeling Jesuit, I visited at the same time with a guy named Chris Cantine, who was from inner city Baltimore, which is obviously completely different than Southern Ohio. He had a swagger to him that was, I noticed it, you know what I'm saying? And it was something that I kind of admired because it reflected in his game on the court. He played with, that killer instinct. And that was something that if I had to critique myself athletically in basketball, that was like something I lacked, was just like, making my mind up that like, I'm just going to be this dog all the time. I was, I was still good, but I would have moments where I was passive and things like that. He didn't have that.
Yeah.
So we end up rooming together, and that was to this day one of the top blessings that I was ever given, was to be with someone 24. Because when you're in college 5 hours away, you don't have your family to rely on. You rely on your buddies and your roommates and your teammates. So we relied heavily on each other, for different reasons. But he was crucial for my development, just in mental toughness, being away from home. But I respect him a lot to this day. We're still good friends. He gave me a lot of tough love that I needed at that time.
Yeah.
On the court and off the court. So once I get hurt, I had to redshirt my freshman year. Like I said, I was 5 hours away, crippled on a hilly campus. That was also very difficult academically. Jesuit education is, very highly thought of. So there's only so many universities in the country that, offer that type of education. And it wasn't what I wanted to do. Okay, so I luckily passed all my classes. At the semester point, I'm talking to Dad. I'm like, man, I really want to go somewhere else and play. Like, it's not that I did dislike the school or whatever. It was just like I didn't see my situation getting any better there. Just, for several different reasons. But so I kind of wanted to come back home because at the time, I had a grandpa, Richard, that was, starting to have some health issues declining. And, I thought that it would be good for me to be back home closer to my family. I have a nephew that I play a big role with, helping him, being there for him. I wanted to see him playing ball growing up and stuff. So I hit Shawnee State's coach up and, emailed him, sent him my film. He was like, yeah. So, I transfer at Shawnee.
Yeah.
Or I transferred to Shawnee at the semester point. And immediately I meet someone that would have probably the biggest impact to me to this day, in Sean Elliott. So I get to Shawnee. Basically, I'm not going to get into details, but Sean, this was his second time in college.
Yeah.
Okay. He was a grown man at this point. I believe he was, it would have been 25 or 26 at this point.
Yeah.
He had been to Shawnee once, came back home, spent several years away from the game, wanted to come back, came back to school, and he needed a roommate. They needed someone to live with them off campus housing. I didn't want to live on campus. I wanted to live off campus. Yeah. So I moved in with Sean and a guy named Nick Gooch. He was our other roommate. And we had a really, really, the three of us had a really good relationship, but I really, really bonded with Sean in a way that I really needed, because 19 and 20-year-old kids are vulnerable regardless of where they're at, okay? Because, especially where we're from, not that it's a bad place whatsoever, but it's very easy to get tied into the wrong things because there's not a lot to do.
Yeah.
So, by me coming home, it would have been very easy to associate myself with certain things. and he was very crucial in just like keeping me with him all the time. You know what I'm saying? Because I was, like I said, I was just young, and but we were very similar is what made me admire him so much, because we kind of looked the same. You know, we kind of played ball the same. He was obviously better than me, but you know, we just had a lot of the similar interests, competitive anything. He liked to golf. He liked to, you know, play ping pong, just random things and he was a little bit better than me at everything. I could never beat him in anything, so it was like a challenge in everything that we did.
Yeah.
You know, and we were best friends. I mean, at that point, like, we used to get called father and son. We were all across campus. You know what I'm saying? Because I'm 7 years younger than him, but we do all the same things. So he had a very crucial part and really gave me tough love. You know, Chris gave me tough love at Wheeling Jesuit, but Sean was like, you know, no filter with me. You know what I'm saying?
So talk, I mean, is whatever you want to share, but share some of that tough love that you had to go through that really, you know, started turning you into
so like my definition of working hard, and honestly I did work hard. Like, I mean, you remember in high school, like I'd go straight from 2-a-days and go get 500 jumpers up with Dad.
Let me pause and say that, you know, I would say 80% of my work ethic has been because I've been in a relationship with you, and I thought about that as we were about to do this podcast. I'm like, man, as hard as he worked every day grinding, like in the summertime, you was always shooting the ball, always in the gym, always doing something with the basketball just to get that much better. And it was all for the love of it. And like that hard work has always, even to this day, pushes me just watching you. So that's why I associate myself with you constantly.
I appreciate that.
So go into that, man. Go into some of that tough love and that hard work that you like, that you're like, okay, this is what's making me.
Yeah. So, well, and that's the funny thing I appreciate that, first off, but that's the funny thing about it is like, I genuinely thought in my head that like I was working hard and to that point. And then, Sean comes along and like my work ethic's like 50% of his, because there's a whole nother part of this work ethic that I wasn't tapping into, the taking care of your body, the rehab and the stretching, the yoga, the ice cold tubs, things like that. Like that is a whole nother grind that I wasn't touching. And then also the weights up until this point. I mean, you remember me in high school, like I didn't want to touch a weight. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like I did the powerlifting stuff, but that was just to be with my friends.
Right.
All my friends were doing it, so I'm like, yeah, whatever.
Yeah.
But I wasn't like big into weights and stuff, and like he was. Those were like, it was like an all day thing. Like,
what was the routine? Because I remember you talking to me. You were like, I remember at this time, like when you were grinding with Sean, I remember trying to talk to you because I was still in high school. And I remember trying to talk to you, and you were like, dude, I'm up at 5 a.m. grinding. I'm up at 4 a.m. shooting up hoops. Like, I'm up at...
Well, that was Sean Hours. That was Sean Hours.
Dude.
Sean was a night owl, and I'm not.
So talk to me about that grind,
yeah.
Because I remember you talking like, I've been hooping all day long, and this dude's nonstop having me grinding.
And he had just put the ball down for 5 years. You know what I'm saying? Which is like
crazy,
nuts to me.
Man.
Most people put the ball away for 5 years. They got a beer gut, and you know what I'm saying? This dude's like still.
So you're 19, 20 years old still right now, right?
Yeah.
So what was your daily routine? Because honestly, man, people don't understand time management.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Like, so at this point, Sean and our coach, our assistant coach at the time, Delano Thomas, came together and like figured out that, like, if we were going to try and go to the next level as a team, we had to stay over the summer, like stay on campus over the summer and work out with Delano, because he had obviously traveled overseas, had a lot of basketball experience, had different kind of workouts than we would be doing back home. Right. So I believe it was me, Fred, Sean, Nick Tingle, Ethan Moffitt was there a good bit. Ryan Duncan was there a good bit. I mean, we had a lot of people stay back, but it was all called Sean. Sean was like the central figure that taught everybody,
he was like
how to buy in. Yeah, exactly. So, our routine was we would usually go, and this varied depending upon, how we had, playing open gyms and stuff, like how we were sore, we would mix up what we were doing at the certain times, but it was usually like we'd go 9 to 11, some kind of like skill work, like we do on the court, just skill work, ball handling, conditioning, finishing at the cup, different things like that. Then we'd, go back home, take a nap, wake up 2 to 4, we go over and just crush weights. And we had, at this point, we didn't have our eventual weight trainer in Lee Bass, who is just a phenomenal guy. But back to what I was saying, we really were just, following Delano and Sean's lead as to what we were doing with this. So, and it was new to everybody. So we would crush weights during that time, go back home, take a nap, come back, and play open gym like 6 to 8:30.
Oh my
and like,
gosh, dude.
I mean, people
all day long.
Yeah, and like, I mean, we did that 5-6 days a week for that whole summer, and we did the next 2 summers as well. But this one was just special because Sean was there. So, I can't get too far into it, man, because it does make me emotional. But Sean eventually that summer passed away. In June.
Yeah,
and that was crushing to me because, I hadn't known him for 15 years.
Mm-hmm.
I hadn't technically we weren't day ones, but to me, dude, I don't take that into consideration. I've known people for 30 days that have my back more than people that I've known for 17 years. So I don't really associate that. I just recognize that he was one of the realest people that I had ever came across, and he genuinely cared about my success.
Mm-hmm.
And we had developed such a relationship in that year and a half that it was just absolutely crushing to me. I had never felt like that. I'd never experienced that. I had lost family members, due to old age and sickness, but this was just a completely different shake. So, I'd be lying if I said that for months after that, I wasn't just in my own head about things, man. I had a lot of good people around me at the time, in my teammates that, in my family too, what I'm saying? I don't want to leave my family out of that. They're always here for me, but there's only certain things that you can relate to, and the people that you're going through it with are the ones that you're really going to talk to about these situations. So
for sure,
we were all there for each other, but that time in my life was, I'd probably say, and I'm not, here's the thing, there's thousands and millions of people out here that have it way worse than this situation. So I'm not trying to act like my situation is worse than others, but this was just for me.
Everybody has.
It was probably the most filled with adversity time in my life, just because I had a lot of different things going through my head.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? I just lost my big bro, someone that I respected a ton and wanted to model and follow. And what messed me up the most about it was he was such a good person and doing everything the right way.
Yeah.
And that was a hard time for me. But moving on from that, I have a good freshman year that year, redshirt freshman year.
Yeah.
I didn't play a ton. I played 12 minutes a game, which is pretty good for a freshman in that conference. Averaged 5 points, shot well from 3. And then that's when the summer after I started just having injury problems. I really. Everybody that played with me in college, they know they make fun of my ankles all the time. But I mean, it got to the point where I was literally spraining my ankle every week. And when you only have 2 years of eligibility left, and that you have, because in college, it's not like high school where, if you get hurt, as soon as you're ready, you come back and you got your spot back because you're the best player on your high school team. College, if you get hurt, there's 5-6 people waiting to take your spot, rightfully so. You know what I'm saying? Because everybody's competing for scholarship money. Everybody's competing for different things like that. So, I would try and rush back, do everything back, and I never just gave my ankles proper time to heal. So, for the next 2 seasons, man, it was just honestly just a lot of frustration, not towards anything other than just inward,
And I'm sure at the time you were thinking, before these injuries, you were like, okay, my future could be overseas. My future could be my basketball future is
to
intact.
A point. Yeah, a point. I was working because that's if you're a college basketball player and you're not working hard to get to the next level, then you're just not.
What are you working for?
Yeah, you're not going to last.
Yeah,
even though that may be a long shot, because me and you both know basketball at the next level is just unreal.
So now that we know that you're, most people know that are going to listen to this know that you're not playing basketball anymore. So during that, realization of, okay, basketball isn't the future, how did you start to
it honestly was up until the point that I literally stopped. I don't feel like I ever put a block in my mind. I was never going to practice thinking oh, I'm going to quit. It was never that.
It was this is an option or this is an option.
Yeah, it was never that.
Go overseas or, whatever.
Yeah, I had I had made a promise to myself that like I wasn't going to let all this hard work and stuff just not play its course out. Like I had to get my degree, and I knew that basketball was the vehicle to get my degree.
Yep.
I knew that I wanted to stick it out. So really, like up until that final injury and surgery and things like that, did I really make my mind up that I needed to do something different. And like I said, basketball, like, did I ever think that I was going to like make $100,000 or millions? Absolutely not. But at the time, like, yeah, like I said, every college basketball player trains to be a pro. Like, that's the only way you're going to get any better, like, once you get to that level, because it's super competitive every day.
Yep.
So, you know, I going into my senior year, the whole summer, I'm having, like, double the ankle issues, okay? And, like, extreme pain while doing all these workouts and stuff. So, I'd been to the team doctor a couple times, and you know, I was kind of just getting like high sprain, and I'm sitting there thinking like, dude, I roll my ankle every other week. I know what a high sprain feels like. You know, this isn't a high sprain because I was feeling pain on the inside. So Dad's like, let's go get a second opinion. So we go to Jared Smith at Bellefonte, and he sets me down on the table and feels my ankles for like literally 10 seconds, and he's like, dude, your ankles are shredded. He's like, you don't have anything even connecting them. And so me and Dad look at each other like, no way. You know what I'm saying? Like, no way. Like, we knew it was bad, but we were just expecting like, oh, maybe, you know, a tear here. And he's like, man, your ankles are just awful. You know, nothing's even really holding them together. So he's like, man, you know, I know it's your senior year and stuff, but he's just like, it's not smart, man. He's like, you need to have surgery. So I have the surgery, but at this point, it's still like I'm not quitting. You know, I still was going to plan to come back. There was like, it's a 12-week recovery time. If you absolutely work your hardest, maybe 8. So like I'm thinking 6. You know what I'm saying? I'm going to double down, triple down, whatever. So I had the surgery, and recovery was going good. Like it was going good. But at a point, it kind of just halted, and you know, some things transpired that, you know, I'm not going to get into. I just, you know, I'm past it, but you know, I left the team. Okay, so at this point, you know, I had roughly, I believe, 2 semesters left, or maybe 3. Yeah, 3 semesters left, because this was like right before, you know, the second semester of that year, and then I had the following year.
Yep.
So this was like another trial to me, because like honestly I wanted to quit college, you know what I'm saying, because until I got in my field of study, like I thought college was a joke too, you know what I mean. When I'm taking, I knew I always wanted to do something like performance based and business oriented, so like all these like prereqs and, you know, whatever, it was pointless to me. I was so disengaged, like not engaged at all. I know you know this to a point, but
dude, I would feel the exact same way, honestly. I mean, I went back to college, you know, to Wright State, and I was taking like English, and I'm like, dude,
yeah,
I want to be in business school. Teach me business.
Yeah.
Like, I don't want to take English and natural
but
science.
at this point, I am like educating myself.
Oh yeah,
I'm reading business books. I was always into that, but I just other things
outside.
I was barely getting by in like art, you know, things like that. So whatever. So, and not that those are, I'm not knocking on that whatsoever.
Absolutely.
It's just not my thing. Okay,
exactly.
so I didn't see the point.
Way.
Yeah. So, but my dad and mom and my grandma are like, no, like, absolutely not. And I'm obviously grown at this point. You know, I'm like 21, 22, but like still, like I'm never going to be too grown to listen to people that I know always have my best interests.
Right.
So they're like, no, you have to finish. So I'm like, okay, whatever. And you know, but at this point, I'm also thinking like I've got too much downtime. You know, because I'm used to grinding with the team, and like, and here's the thing about that. Was I ever a 20-point per game player in college? Absolutely not. Like my career high was 14. You know what I'm saying?
Yep.
But like you can go across the board with my teammates and the coaches at Shawnee and ask them, was Conor about his work, and they'll tell you yes. Like my work ethic was up to par. So at this point, like I'm thinking, you know, I have to find something to do. You know, I was considering like, because I loved to play golf, and I played in high school, and I was pretty good. So, like, I'm thinking, like, should I just go start playing 36 holes a day, try and walk on the golf team my senior year? Like, what should I do? And then I talked to Jeff Smith.
Yep.
So we went to high school with one of our best friends, talk about a guy that's got your best interest and a guy that have your back.
Oh,
like,
man.
He's
Jeff's
as good
always been real,
yeah,
man.
as
He's
good of a
always
guy
been
that
real.
there is. And, I see he's doing well. See, he bought himself a new car. And, at this point I'm thinking, well, I really have no work experience because I never really got a job in high school because I played 5 sports. We were always that was the last thing I wanted to do. And luckily I was blessed with parents that didn't make me get a job. I thank them to this day. And then in college, we were grinding so much. The only job I had was like refereeing games during the summer at our leagues and stuff that we would hold for the youth.
Yep.
So I'm thinking, well, hey, maybe I should get an internship, or maybe I should go work, just get a job. And I hit Jeff up. I'm like, man, what are you doing? He's like, I'm in financial services, man. And he was like, I was like, so like, what's this? And he's like, well, just come in and do an interview. So basically I come in there, do the interview. I see an environment that I like. I see a lot of young people that are motivated, that are in a good niche market that I see a foreseeable future in for financial services. Yeah. And most importantly, an ethical office. So
what was that energy like when you first walked in? Was this something like, because I only picture...
It was appealing and nerve-wracking at the same time.
Okay.
Because like I'm sitting there thinking like, I've never done anything like this before. I've never even had an interview. I know I can speak and like conduct myself in the proper way, but like I don't know what to say. Like it was just like a whole new experience to me. But
so now today, everybody that ask you what can I do what you do? They're like, you're like, I understand exactly how you feel day one.
For sure. So and obviously the rest is history. And I'm approaching 2 years with Simon's agency now, and I'm locked for life, man. I just feel blessed to have found my place quickly without having to go and try a lot of other things. And am I saying that financial services is my full passion? Absolutely not. But it's a vehicle to get me to where I want to go, to where I can do my passion. Which honestly I don't. I'm not even sure yet.
Yeah,
but that's.
Yeah.
I think what hurts a lot of people is like they forget that it's okay to not know your passion by 25, and you just have to try different things. But I do know that I've found the vehicle to get me to whatever I want to do eventually.
Yeah. And so I want to kind of dive deep, right? Because now everybody that looks at you, just like anybody else that comes up on some success, people that they don't realize when they start seeing people that are making a 6-figure income like yourself, you know what I mean? And being able to actually go out and do these things, they only start noticing it after you've put in all those hours of grinding, right?
Yeah.
So for anybody that's listening, right, and wants to get a hold of you, they're gonna have some questions, and I think that it's really important to understand in your business, what's yet to come. Any business in general,
any next level thing that you're really trying to get to.
It's and people don't understand that there's roadblocks. People don't understand that time needs to be invested, and there are days when it's not gonna feel like, and you got to dig deep.
Absolutely,
so, what did you do during those times that helped you excel and become where you are today?
During like adverse times in business,
hard times, going through your grind.
So I mean,
because I want people to understand that
what it's like to be self-employed,
man, and have to really hold themselves accountable, because people every day are looking for that special pill. You know what I mean? And so I want you to share with them, like, man, what are what did I have to do to get to that next level?
Nothing worth having is going to come easy.
Absolutely.
So, but here's the thing also. It's okay to not want a lot. It's okay to want a lot. It's okay to be in the middle. What I encourage people to do is like find out what truly makes them happy and attack that on a scale of, what's going to get them to that certain thing. But like for me, I always knew that, I was, as far as my mindset towards things, it was a little bit different. Like I felt like I always wanted a little bit more, like not in a greedy way, but like I just feel like to a point, like I've got both parents to support me. I have a support system. I have these things lined in place. Like to me, it's almost like it would make me ashamed if I didn't have a high success.
Yeah.
like a form of high success.
Mhm.
And
You felt
and
like
that's,
you were- you
but
felt like-
success isn't just measured on money either. Like I don't want to get caught up in like if you're not making six figures, you're not successful. Like
Absolutely.
like there's people that make $20,000 a year that are winning at life more than people that make millions because they're happy every day. They conduct themselves properly with others. They make others feel good about themselves.
Mhm.
You know, money is not the measuring level of happiness, but also like I realized that it's not the money that truly attracts me to work towards this level. It's the things that the money can provide in the future. Best health insurance for my kids. Hopefully never let prevent my parents from ever ending up in a nursing home. Things like that is what truly drives me on the hard days.
Let's talk about preparation for a minute, right? Like, let's dive in a little bit deeper on that. So, I mean, preparation is huge, right? Like, we need that every day, and so let's talk about some of the things that you do to prep, or some of the things that you would advise going into something like that, something so new.
Well, pulling it back to like the main point is like what you asked, just anybody could do, and what I challenge you to do is just figure out what your real goal is, and that's like the most important thing. Like, if you don't even know what you're trying to accomplish in life, and you don't really, have a clue really what your end goal is, it's hard to make a proper way to get there. And that's what I challenge you to do first, is just figure out what you're trying to accomplish. And then depending upon what that is and the level of difficulty it's going to take to accomplish that, you can make a list of daily self-development goals and make it just a daily mission to take it one day at a time and attack it one day at a time, get better each day, and you'll eventually get yourself to that goal. It's about consistency. It's that you can't just do it 4 out of 7 days. You got to figure out something that you can consistently do day in, day out, week in, week out, that's going to eventually have the compound effect and get you where you need to go.
Oh man, the compound effect. I mean, let's Jermaine was talking about the exact same thing. The compound effect is huge because everybody needs to understand that, time, everybody has the same amount of time, so what you're taking advantage of with that time is the compound effect, right?
Well, I heard an analogy the other day that I thought was pretty neat. Is like, if you think about like a baby or a puppy, for example, like if you own a puppy, or if you obviously have a child, like you don't really notice the day-to-day growth in them. Mm-hmm. You get what I'm saying? Like, It's not like you wake up every day and it's like, oh, they grew 2 inches last night. But then next thing you know, they're 5 years old, or then your dog's fully grown a year and a half later, and you're like, I don't even really remember this. Not that you don't remember it, but it's just like that flew by.
Man,
and it's
quick.
like that happens with people in self-development too, is like they'll start and they'll have a 2 weeks, or like let's talk about just use weight loss, for example. Mm-hmm. They'll do 2 weeks of weight loss and then plateau, and then they'll have 2 weeks where they're switching up their routine, and they may not lose a lot of weight. And that growth during that time is hard to see, but it's there. It's not like it's not happening. It's there. It's just hard to see. So when you do that consistently, like day in, day out, you're going to look back, you're going to find yourself 3 years later sitting on, a lot of money, if that's your goal, or a lot, you may run a successful business, if that's your, like whatever, it's there. And then you're like, how did this happen? Well, you put in the work day in, day out. And even when you weren't noticing huge strides and transitions, it was still paying off. It's just, it took longer.
Yeah, and so how do you reward yourself? I heard that, a couple times on different podcasts. People need to remember to reward themselves for even the small little victories.
Yeah, because you can't.
How do you reward yourself with the small victories? Because day in and day out, that hustle of becoming new to something and trying to grind and grasp that thing. How did you what did you do to reward yourself or take care of yourself as well, or just keep yourself reminded, like, hey, I'm still doing good, hey, this is great.
Yeah, well, one, you got to figure out, like, before you can like celebrate little victories, you need to make sure they're victories. Because like I'm not going to what I'm saying, like I'm not going to sit here and say that like every weekend Saturday night you need to go to the bar and get tanked and that celebrate like the week's past. Like, okay, you need to like really figure out like what an actual accomplishment is that you're trying to hit and celebrate those. Because what people have a problem is they'll think that an average week of sales, or just a regular week of work or whatever, that deserves a treat. It doesn't all the time. But yeah, I do agree with the fact that like you can't just spend your whole life grinding and not take time to visit with your family and go on vacations and do things that are enjoyable and reward yourself. But Also, at times you have to sacrifice. Like you have to if you want to get to that next level. And if you don't sacrifice now, what you want will eventually become the sacrifice. You know what I'm saying? So you can either
Wow, hold on, say that again. I think that's important.
you
Say
can
it
either
again.
you can you can either sacrifice right now up front and have it all later, or you can try and bargain. And this is straight from Simon. You know what I'm saying? This isn't something I made up. I mean, this
for
is
sure.
literally right from him, but
For
like
sure.
that's the beauty of business and really life. Like it's not like school. You can plagiarize off successful people. So like you can either sacrifice now for what you want to have and you can have it for a long, lengthy life, or you can negotiate with the price and you can just basically sacrifice your whole life away and always be mediocre. So that's kind of the advice that I would give on that topic,
Yeah, it's unbelievable. So you've overcome. So at first your job was, okay, I need to go out and take
consistently
care of-
serve others every single day,
right.
while creating income for myself, only focused on creating my own.
Exactly, and now the ball game is starting to switch up.
Into
we've
duplication,
had
training,
a
hiring.
conversation. Yeah, we had a conversation on the way here. Like, man, my life is starting to switch up a little bit.
Yeah.
I'm starting to learn all these different things.
Yeah.
And so now that you've been able to witness somebody in your shoes do it, what is your life like now that you've now taken on other people's?
Yeah. Well, it's definitely a bigger responsibility because when we bring someone into our organization, we take their success personal. Obviously you can provide someone the plate, and if they choose not to eat it, that's on them. But if you never provide the plate, it's on you. So
Absolutely,
we have to make sure we put our people in positions to succeed with the proper training. That comes in the hiring process of hiring high quality people. But back to what you're saying, it's definitely more I get more self-satisfaction out of like seeing one of the people that I've helped train and bringing into the business have success than I do. It's like I know I can go out and do it anytime. Like not
Right.
in an arrogant way. It's just if you're going to try and be the best at your business, like you have to carry yourself with that confidence. Like
absolutely.
I know I can hit the road, make things happen at any point in my business. Okay. But what's a true testament of my leadership and my ability overall, where I can get to in my life is how I can duplicate it into others. So that's definitely been the goal, and we're having success. We're obviously like not even close to satisfied. Like we have so much higher goals, and we haven't. And here's the thing: I don't want this podcast to seem like I'm,
Absolutely. No, it's just
where I
it's
want to
it's
be.
A part of your
It's
grind.
it's a growth. I'm
Yeah.
I'm definitely not even close to satisfied. I have not arrived at all, but I have had some success. You know what I'm saying? I'm not
Absolutely.
going to sit here and ignore the success and act like it hasn't happened, but I know that I've got a long ways to go to get to my end goal. So I absolutely take pride in building this team. We've had success building the team at our first location. Now making this transition down south is going to be a whole new challenge in itself, but we really look forward to it because like I said earlier, you have to get uncomfortable to grow.
And that's why I like to surround myself with you, Conor, and make you my number one, my right hand, because it's that type of attitude that you got to surround yourself with. I always believe, you're 90% of the people that you spend your time with, right? So like you got to surround yourself with people that are really not only wanting the best for you, but are constantly wanting to give you advice, constantly helping you grow, there to listen, and you got to be able to pick their brain. It's a part of why I want to do this podcast because, dude, I love to sit down and just pick your brain, man.
Yeah.
It's amazing to see, where you've gone and where you're taking your life and how you've been able to overcome obstacles, you've been able to overcome adversity, and it's been able to not only help you get to where you are, but shape you as a person and continue to shape you. We forget, Conor, how old are you?
24.
You're 24 years old, right? Like, let's think about this for a second. We're talking like we're 30 years old, hitting six figures, moving, people class. You're doing this at 24 years old. What's life look like in 6 years? What's life look like when you're 30? You know what I mean? It's amazing to not forget that. Because, because the message that I want you to, the question, that I want to ask you at the end is going to pertain to people that are young and ready to see this thing happen.
Well, first and foremost, like, I mean, this, I'm a firm believer in Jesus Christ. I have a relationship with God, and, I'm not acting perfect whatsoever. I have my vices. I sin, I'm not perfect at all. But He could take all this away from me at any point. So like, I'm not going to sit up here and like say for sure what's going to happen in 6 years. You know, life is precious. It's not guaranteed whatsoever, but Lord willing, in 6 years, you know, obviously my main goal is to change a lot of people's lives that come into my organization, outside of my organization as well. You know, we have a lot of things that we have talked about and will eventually put into works that are going to benefit a lot of people who don't benefit otherwise. You know, and I hate to put like an income mark on it, because like anytime, or even like any kind of mark, because like a lot of times that's how people end up like cheating themselves, because they don't think big enough.
Right.
Like I talk to like my mentors, and like I'm like, you know, because I want to know what they messed up on. You know, like what's something that you messed up on that I can avoid. And like every time when I talk to people that are truly highly successful, you know, Simon, Jermaine, anybody like that, they're like, at first I didn't think big enough. And I think that may have limited, even though they're uber successful, still they had another level that at first they didn't truly understand. So like that's what I'm trying to get myself to fully buy into, is like just thinking my goals and doubling down on them. You know, that's the main goal. And hopefully 6 years from now at 30, you know, I hope to have healthy kids. I hope to, you know, have a, you know, obviously I've got, you know, I'm engaged to Lexi, and, you know, I hope our marriage is beautiful. I hope that, I hope my family has good health and my friends have good health. You know, that's where I hope to be at 30.
That's where you are. You know what I mean? So the message to, you know, at the end to kind of top this off, right? 19 years old, 18 years old to 25 years old, right? I exclusively want to say this because it's really important to understand how, you know, how drastic your life could change just by making simple movements, little things. And so what message do you have to them to help them think, okay, not only is this possible, I'm not the only one going through these struggles. It's not like people haven't been here before, because I had to remind myself in those times when I was waiting for that money, when I was maybe behind on a bill, right? Like, we've all been there, dude. And to be like,
and you can relate your situation to others, and it makes it seem a lot better.
It's like people have been in worse situations and still overcome. So tell the people that are wanting to go into something new, or even to coming into, you know, what you do, you know, what. Yeah.
Let's make this about anything. Okay, so this isn't any field, anything, because like the last thing I want this to do, you know, is just seem tailored towards me, because this is meant to help others. But
absolutely.
Like, there are so many people out there that have so many great ideas. People of high intellect, people of, you know, just that have rock star powers, but those will never be used ever, because they are just scared to take action, and they're scared to take that leap of faith. Mm. Anything that you're going to do that is going to be considered great or achieving greatness has to require you making yourself vulnerable at some point. If you don't make yourself vulnerable, you will never get over that edge. You may be great at being mediocre, but you're never going to make that next step. So, like, I challenge this, hopefully, a kid that listens to this that's 19 and thinking, like, I know something that I could be great at, but there's just something that's holding me from doing it. Whether it's my mom or dad or grandma or grandpa saying that would be stupid, or, you know, that I'm going to lose a lot of money doing it, or whatever. You have to block that out. You have to, or you will always regret that you never gave it a chance. So the advice that I give is go fall on your face. Go fall on your face, but to go into it with an attitude that I'm not going to fall on my face, but if it happens, it happens. And go from there. And then the second thing that I really, probably the biggest, but you have to be very careful in this time, is find a good, real mentor, okay? Because like I said earlier, the beautiful thing about business in particular, but any real profession or even life in general, like, you can plagiarize all successful people. Like, if you look at all successful people, regardless of field, they all usually have 5 or 6 really common characteristics. They get up early. They're usually conscientious about their health. You know, they read. They seek further education. They do these simple things. So what I would do is, you know, find someone in your field that you're passionate about, and first make sure they're legit, because there's a lot of frauds out there. Mm-hmm. There's a lot of people that are trying in the social media age that are trying to, you know, brand themselves, do this, do that, that'll tell you a lot of things, but they really don't know what they're doing. And I'll use you for an example. Do you have a degree in bachelor or in like weight training or being a exercise guy?
Do I have it
like a full? Are you?
like
do
a
you have like a
exercise
bachelor's?
side? No, I don't.
No, but you're
absolutely
shredded. And you no, I'm serious.
Yeah.
But you're shredded, and you just put me through a workout that if I did consistently every day, I'm not, because I ain't got that in me every day. But
Yeah.
but listen, okay, what I'm getting at is, like, even though you may not have all this education or whatever, you know how to get the job done.
Absolutely.
But there's a lot of people out there that have these degrees that aren't in shape. And, like, who's going to listen to that? You get what I'm saying? So, like, find someone in your field that's genuinely doing it, what you want to do, not just talking about it. Attach yourself to their hip and copy everything they do in their life.
Man, that's a perfect way to end it, man. I love it. Man, Conor, I can't thank you enough for taking the time to not only drive up here, get a nice workout in, let me beat you up, but then also just kind of sharing your story, because this is exactly what I want out of this podcast. I just want people to share their story. I want people to know that there's real people out there that are going through the same real struggles, and not only have went through the struggles, but have overcame it and have seen success. Because every single day isn't going to be motivated and, I can't wait to grind this thing out.
A lot of motivation is baloney, because it's not there when you need it.
Dude, it's not.
It's not. You have to figure out what your inner motivation is. Like, I love extrinsic motivation. Like, me and you love, like, we're motivated when we talk trash to each other.
Right.
That's great. But if that's all you have, you will never make it consistently. You have to have something intrinsic, inside, deeper than yourself.
Bigger than yourself.
That consistently motivates you every single day to do what you need to do. And until you find what that is, it's hard to do that. It really is.
Man.
But I appreciate having me on, man. Like, it's exciting to see you grow, and I know that this is going to go somewhere. And like I said, man, anything you ever need, I'm here to support it, man.
I love it, man. I love it. I appreciate it. Awesome. Young and growing. Oh my gosh.
That fire, baby.
Oh my gosh. Episode 3. I'm telling you, man, we're going to keep coming. I've got a lot of good people lined up to come do this thing. I'm taking suggestions. Reach out, email me on the YouTube channel. I'm telling you, this thing is going to be awesome. I can't wait to hear some of the conversations that we're going to have coming up. Thank you so much, Conor. Peace out, everybody.
Peace out, guys.